permits, performs, maintains records, helps customers navigate the development process. DSD has 4 areas of focus. Permit application center, that's start to any development. Building plan review, building plan safety inspections, and then compliance. Compliance is zoning, noise, and animal services. So I've got some information on this, and I'll grab an email address from one of you to get it out so you have all of our contact information. But the compliance team is 5 people, myself, Shannon Morgan does zoning enforcement, Harry Gillis, zoning enforcement. We have 1 vacant position that we're hiring for right now. Daniel Orapesa is our noise compliance, and then animal services, which I feel like downtown they don't get too many calls, so you probably won't have much interaction with them. There's kind of 4 main topics for our downtown presence, and that's going to be noise and busking, outdoor dining, outdoor sales and push carts, and A-frame signs kind of falls into that. So what I put in front of you, we'll start with, we'll kind of leave buskers for last because that's going to be a bigger topic. So the piece of paper with the map on it, the City of Asheville has developed a push cart location system, and that allows people who has outdoor sales and merchandise to apply for a permit, receive a right-of-way encroachment agreement, and then set up on the street. They're required to pay fees, carry insurance, and all that stuff. They're also required to have that permit on them at all times. So if anybody comes up and goes, "Who are you? You know, are you allowed to be here?" They're supposed to be able to produce a document that shows that they're there. This map shows our locations of where we allow them. And currently this map is kind of being redrawn. We're trying to add some more areas and then remove some other ones that aren't necessarily seeing a lot of foot traffic or are in areas that are a little bit too tight, because, you know, we have to follow ADA requirements, which means, you know, 6 feet of clearance and stuff like that. On the map, you'll see ones that have a 2025 permit are marked in red. The vacant positions are marked in green. And then there's a couple old expired 2024 permit locations that have not been reviewed yet, but will probably get reviewed.
Can you give us an example of one of these? Because in my, I mean, I can't put a finger on having seen a push cart.
Absolutely. Carrie, he works downtown. He's got a small table and he writes poems.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He is fully permitted and has everything that he needs. And he's got his location. He just moved the locations.
Yeah, by the Rover Arcade.
Yeah. So you'll see that. There's a gentleman downtown that sells handmade jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
He does not have a permit.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes to complain about the locations and how they're not good enough. He wants to set up right in front of. Yeah. No, up here. By like Rue and all that stuff up there on the corner.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So they vary. You know, it could be an actual push cart, or it could be just a table, 2 chairs. All of those carts have to go through like permitting, and during that process they get reviewed. Building safety looks at it to make sure that it's, you know, an actual structure and not something that's going to like go flying off the street and, you know, injure people. But for those, they, like I said, they are required to have a permit. It's required to be present and with them with the push cart. Location is specific. Now, if they're supposed to be here but they're set up here, generally we're gonna let that slide. You know, if they're within 10 to 15 feet of their location and they still have clearances, we kind of let that slide. We're not too stickler on it, but they can't be set up right in front of a business. They can't be tucked into like an alcove or anything like that. The odds of you running into some of these folks is going to be pretty high. But really, I don't think there's much engagement that you'll need to do. We rely heavily on the Asheville app, and you can always just document it. Will you have cell phones provided to you?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've heard all about the Asheville app, but planning zoning code violation, snap a picture, send that in, and then we can do it on the back end just to review it and see if we need to make contact with them, make sure they have all the permits and stuff like that. One thing I do always recommend, if you're allowed to download extra stuff to the phone, timestamp camera, which will put the time, the date, the location, all of that overlaid over the photo. So when we get it, we know exactly when it was taken. Because a lot of these folks are out at the exact same times. So we know that if it came in Saturday at 6 p.m., we can go out there Saturday at 6 p.m.
Yeah, we have it's for your information, we have a proprietary app that we've developed for the ambassadors to kind of do their workforce tracking that's geolocated. When they're assigned a task, they'll take a before and after, timestamps, who it was, when it was done, where it was done. One of the things we can do in our app is like mark the fixed assets. So we can actually input all of the permitted carts in our app. And then that way, if they see one that's not, like they see the cart, but it's not in our app, then I think that's a way that we could distinguish.
Oh, that'd be excellent. Yeah, and this is going to change a little bit.
Okay.
But I can get you the contact information for the person that runs the map.
Perfect.
And we can work with him to get it updated. There are times where two people will switch locations, or one person will say, "Hey, I'm not going to be at my spot. Do you want it for the weekend?" And we do sometimes allow that. Most of the time we don't overly regulate it, but we do require that permit.
I saw somebody trying to sell one on Facebook Marketplace the other day.
That does happen.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to sell their spot and their car.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that whoever they sell it to is going to get that spot. It's whoever has a permit open, and then they see it's open, they can take it. Let's see. So we'll go to outdoor dining next. The book that I'm passing around has all of our outdoor requirements for outdoor dining. They are required. There are very specific fees to what is permitted. And as of right now, we don't necessarily have a system of what is permitted and what isn't. However, for their outdoor dining, once they get it permitted, they're required to place signs on it. So if we see that there aren't signs externally, then we know that maybe it's not permitted. I'm not going to ask you guys to go in and talk to businesses about their outdoor dining because it's an expensive permit. It ranges anywhere from a few $100s up to several thousand, depending on what kind of thing they use. But if we notice any damage to them, like broken boards or anything that's a safety hazard, definitely want to get a picture of that and get that brought to our attention, because that is something we'll go out there and say, hey, we're going to shut it down until you fix it. And some of these folks will pay, like I said, $3,000 to $6,000 for that spot. And if it gets shut down, even on a 1 day basis, that's a lot of revenue they end up with. So
what about areas that they may or may not have a permit, but they sort of, maybe the business is vacant, but they still have an outdoor setup that becomes problematic? How do you?
Do you have any specific?
There's one building right by Tupelo Honey that has like on the sidewalk, it's like kind of fenced in, it's vacant, and clearly like people sleep there and it's boarded up.
So around that area is a little bit more difficult because some of the property lines don't end at the building, they end outward. So if it's on private property, permit's not going to be required.
Okay.
And that's where it gets a little hairy. So if you don't see the signage, that's probably a good idea to let us, submit it through the Asheville app, we'll review it, see if it is something that needs to get permitted. The
And
ones that are vacant and people are sleeping in,
yeah,
it's probably gonna end up being a homelessness services, APD,
Yeah.
AFD.
okay.
Um,
And okay, so if there's a building or business that's like not open on the weekend and they have seating kind of causing problems, that would be,
Yeah, and we can reach out to the property owner, and that's one of the things that DSD has the ability to do. Is we'll reach out to the property owner and say,
Mhm.
hey, just a heads up, this is what's going on. You know, you need to be aware of it because it does become a liability.
Yeah.
So we're more than willing to do that as
Cool.
well. But a lot of times, by the time we get to it,
Yeah.
it's, you know, usually been corrected or the person's moved on and so they have nobody to.
yeah, if there's a mess in there, are we good to, and the person's gone?
Private property. That's
Streetery.
if it's in a streetery, if it's in one of our permitted, yeah, we can. It's our property, so we have full access to it.
Would you mind if they cleaned it up?
No, not at all.
Okay, great. That's
Not at all. And on some of these, let me point out a specific sign. So here are a couple of the signs and it'll put the limitations on it. So it'll say public use from this time to this time,
Mhm.
commercial use only. And we do have a few of those.
yeah, I've definitely
Did
seen
you see
those.
those?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this sign, right? These two signs here. And it'll have that information. The other thing that one of the other things we do are A-frame signs. Those are permitted uses in CBD and pretty much CBD only. There are a few places outside that we do allow it, but it's mostly in the central business district.
Okay. And the businesses they're the ones getting the permitted for
Yep.
that, or there's a blanket permit for all the area?
They need to get a permit for the individual sign.
Okay.
A-frames are required to meet a very specific structure. To allow some leniency if they can show it's, you know, reinforced in different ways, you know, if they're weighted, like sand weighted and things like that. But that is a yearly permit. So if you see one of those, then we don't have a tracking system for that either, which is horrible. Like this map, like we need about a dozen of these maps for all the different things that. So that is another thing. If you see A-frame signs, they look broken or they're blocking, snap a picture, Asheville app, we'll go out and do the enforcement side of it. If it is an immediate safety issue, then it might be worth bringing to the business attention and say, hey, your sign's broken, it's blocking, we're gonna move it off to the side. You know, tuck it away or something like that. So, on to the big one. Busking. Everybody loves their buskers. There's never any problems and there's nothing you ever have to worry about. It's a great system. Everybody loves it. APD never hears about it. Best thing in the world. So, the city has always kind of promoted that, you know, music, art, especially in downtown. The biggest thing I can say about busking is that while they are playing to the people in front of them. And that is it.
It should be.
That exactly.
Okay.
If you are a block away and you hear the guy doing his karaoke singing in front of the Aria Hotel at full blast, yeah. Feel free to remind him. You're playing for the people in front of you, not for the people a block, 2 blocks away. That's going to be your biggest thing. A lot of the buskers, we know them by name. We have their cell phone numbers. We text them. We try to engage with them in a polite manner because we found that the relationship goes a long way, but we do get constant complaints about it. So if, you know, the only thing I'd really say for you folks is if you do see it, and you've talked to them and said, hey, let's tone it down, and they don't, a video is necessary, and you can email that directly to noise, which is just noise@asheville.nc.gov, and that goes to Daniel and I. And while we don't respond immediately if we're not in the area, we do usually get to it pretty quickly.
I would say those noise files. I mean, the hard part though, is my understanding, because the only person I've ever reported is emo karaoke guy, and he is just so loud, but still I don't think he's exceeding like a decibel amount.
We cannot put a decibel on busters.
Okay.
There is no way to isolate
Okay.
the busking from the rest of the
So how do you enforce that, like, he can't be that loud?
It is, it's very subjective, and it's one of the limitations of our noise ordinance.
Yeah.
So the noise ordinance says that CBD is handled at decibel level,
Right.
but there's no way to isolate a single noise source when you're in the downtown in the middle of the day. You have traffic, you have cars, pedestrians talking, you have everything going on that the city has, and there's no way to isolate that one individual. The other limitations of the noise ordinance is that it's taken the decibel reading needs to be taken at the closest property to a residential. So if you don't have a residential, where do you take it from?
Mm-hmm.
So there's really, I mean, the noise ordinance is great, but it is very limiting to how we enforce busting. And that's why we found that building that relationship with the individual busters is so important. Now, there was the Busters Collective. I don't know if they're still active at all. I know one of the guys.
I've been meeting with them.
What's the main guy's name?
This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you go like?
Yeah, but the lawyer's still involved and Andrew Fletcher's still involved.
Okay.
So they do have a desire to be kind of like managed. And so that's what we were saying, like that might be an opportunity for the downtown improvement district, because I think they'd like to see a little bit more, like in other cities, they might get 2 hours at a time. And that's really nice for businesses or residents, because even if you have like the worst guy, you know that you only have to listen to it for an hour or 2 hours, and then he'll need to move along. Yeah.
And that is one of the things that we do tell people. We are not the music police.
Yeah.
We don't regulate what they play. We just try to keep it to a minimum. You're playing for the people in front of you, and that's it. We get a lot of complaints about the heavy metal guy.
Oh, yeah. He's good.
Or the drummer and the parts in front of Amos and stuff. Yeah. So that's, it's tough. But we don't want to move them around. You all know our do not engage busker already. You know who he is.
Who's your do not engage?
The
Oh.
Yeah, I went right to
So
him.
the unicycle, he's not playing any music.
he is not.
So he doesn't get classified as a busker. It's tough because we wouldn't do anything with it at all.
Right. He's do not engage for a different reason.
The drummer guy too, Thor. That's what he goes by. You know his real name by any chance? Okay. But you know Thor, right? Yeah. Don't engage with him either. You never know what side of him you're gonna get. So if you get an issue with Thor, just snap a video, send it to us. We'll take care of it. Yeah. He's an interesting one.
And there will probably be requests for business owners, because sometimes they'll just pop up right in front of their office and, they're trying to do business and you have like a horn in your ear, or, singing karaoke.
And there's several by Pritchard Park that we get a lot in that area. So we do try to address them as they come in. But noise, it's essentially two people, Daniel and I. for the entire city. So, you know, sometimes we're not able to get to it right away.
I noticed that you got call or text, so obviously we could text that number as well. Is
Yeah.
that
Let me see the number that's in there again.
the 8134?
545.
And we can get a bunch of these, and so if
Yes.
needed, we
Yeah.
can just like hand these out.
That goes directly to our noise compliance staff. So good, Daniel.
So in other words, it's okay to text a picture or the video of
Yes.
whatever we have.
Yeah. And that is a video when it comes to busking is huge.
Okay.
What about the, like, if they ask about the noise, can you allow to give these to them,
To
like a business?
citizens, to business,
Yes,
yeah,
most definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah, and I'll find out about the printing issue.
Yeah, I told Dana about it. It's just, it's so weird. The ink kind of just falls off of it when it gets wet.
Yeah, and Allegra did those, so I'm surprised
Yeah.
at that. Usually, I mean,
I'm trying,
we did order them right after the storm, I think.
well, these might be different.
Yeah,
I've had a box for a while.
yeah, these are the newest ones. But yeah, any questions about busking or anything like that? That's probably gonna be the biggest thing you run into downtown. A lot of the push cart vendors, you know, like.
Gosh, I've never,
crap.
yeah, I've never-
They get their permits, they know the routine. The A-frame signs are done yearly. We send out emails to remind visitors of that. And outdoor dining, it's a new program, so it started last year. And then it's like the first full year it's gonna be in place, so that's got some growing pains, but that is coming around. But busking and noise, that's gonna be the thing you guys hear about a lot. They're gonna come running out of their offices going, tell that guy to shut up.
Maybe tune his guitar up for him or something.
But like I said, that relationship, if you can build that with busters, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know,
And they also kind of regulate themselves too, like if somebody's performing at one of the high profile areas like Mass General Store or in front of the Flatiron or the Iron, they'll be like, hey, you've been here for 2 hours, like we've asked people around.
You don't have like the charge of all the ones that help them, like he told us something like.
I think you'll just come across them. Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think you'll figure Thor out pretty quick.
But we will, I think we're gonna have like some pictures of people that would be like a don't make
Yeah,
gay.
got to do about the snake and all kinds of stuff around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
The
cross
snake
the
has
street
something
to
about
avoid snake.
The snake business.
Yeah. Is that what they're talking about?
Is there have you noticed like the ones that have amplified sound versus not? And is there a decibel limit on their actual equipment?
No.
Okay.
The amplified sound thing is very difficult. Like I said, there's no way to single out that one sound when you're taking a read. It takes everything.
Everything, yeah.
And like the limit in the CBD is so high. I mean, like downtown after 5 doesn't even.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, there's no way
Yeah.
that that we would be able to get somebody in trouble because they've exceeded the
And
decibel.
to give you an idea, like Asheville Yards, Rabbit Rabbit just had their first show. And we were out doing the decibel readings for that. The closest residential is directly behind the stage. And with their sound exceedance permit, they're allowed to get pretty high, but right behind the stage, it was like 72 decibels across the street. 61 Church is another one that's residential, and that's directly in front of the stage. And there it was 67, 68.
What's the limit?
Their sound exceedance their sound exceedance allows them to get up to, I think, 82.
Wow. Okay.
So that there's
Yeah.
no.
But,
limit.
Yeah,
I mean,
downtown,
regular, it's 50, right?
no. So, it's a sliding scale, 60, 72, 67, and then 65. And it's all time framed and everything. And I can send you all information for that, but you're never gonna do anything with decibels. In all reality, you're gonna look at it from a subjective, you know, am I a block away? Can I hear you? And if the answer is yes, then tone it down a little bit. Now, there are some people that you are gonna hear that don't have any, you know, way of changing that noise, like the saxophone guy downtown. You know, that's one volume. You know, blow a little lighter maybe. But you're never gonna get complaints on it. You're always, it's gonna be the Thor, the drummer, the heavy metal guy, and the karaoke dudes in the front of the hotel.
People with amps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have to move on
Okay.
because I want to make sure we can
Yes.
have time for you guys. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
If you have any
Right.
questions or anything, my email and everything's on that business card. Send me an email, text the phone number, and I'll get you as much as I can.
Great.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
You know what should be with first? I know, again, I didn't see the lineup, so I think you're.
We'll probably almost tag team up on it.